These inmates might be locked up, but they've not been forgotten, at least not by cameras. Inside the prison, every move is a calculated risk. But these inmates, they thought they were playing a different game. From daring escapes to shocking romances and many violent outbursts, these inmates were caught red-handed in moments of sheer audacity. Join us as we dive into the unexpected. Let's get started. A deadly escape caught on camera. On the 15th of June in 2018, the town of Clovis, New Mexico, woke up to alarming news that 3 inmates escaped from Curry County Detention Center. The fugitives, Aaron Clark, Victor Apodaca, and Ricky Sena, had slipped out during their recreation time. Jail cameras caught them walking calmly down a hallway. One pulled out a set of keys and unlocked a secure door. Moments later, they were outside, dressed in white and casually strolling as if they were taking a casual stroll. What made this escape all the more shocking was that these weren't just petty criminals. They were dangerous. Clark was charged with child abuse and identity theft. Apodaca was in for drug trafficking and firearms violations, and Sena with aggravated battery. And the thing is, their escape wasn't just luck. Serena Dotson, the guard at the control desk, was the key to their freedom. Surveillance footage showed her fidgeting nervously as she opened the doors. She even gave a false head count to cover her tracks, but she missed one glaring detail. The cameras were watching. Dotson was arrested the next morning in Lubbock, Texas, but the fugitives remained at large. Their whereabouts were a mystery for 5 days until a tip led authorities to an apartment just miles from the jail. A tense confrontation followed, with shots fired after one of the men allegedly pointed a gun at officers. In the end, the men surrendered without injury, but now without adding a fresh escape charge to their rap sheet, extending their already long sentences with an average of 16 years. Dotson didn't get off easy either. She received a 9-year prison sentence. Judge Matthew Chandler described her actions as the result of weeks of planning, not a spur-of-the-moment decision. And well, the story's a clear reminder that no matter how clever a plan might seem, cameras are always watching in prison. Hamilton County Jailbreak. This one took place in June 2022 when the Hamilton County Justice Center found itself at the center of not one but 2 bold escape attempts that left everyone wondering how such a secure facility could have so many cracks in its system. It started with 2 inmates, Melissa Cordell and George Bridewell, who turned ordinary booking processes into opportunities for freedom. First up was Cordell. On June 8th, while being booked and left unattended, she noticed a half door left unlocked. Security footage caught her slipping through it, making her way into the property area and hiding behind a pole. From there, she takes off her inmate uniform and blends in with a group of released inmates. Cordell then casually walks out of jail like it was nothing. Authorities would catch her the next day, but her escape pointed to some serious gaps in oversight. Then came Bridewell on June 20th. While waiting for arraignment in a holding tank, he saw his opportunity when a deputy called names from a release list. Despite being told not to return to his cell, he joined the group of inmates being processed for release and walked right out. It didn't take long for authorities to recapture him as well, but the ease of his escape raised more questions. Following the escapes, Hamilton County Sheriff Charmaine McGuffey admitted the jail's high volume of inmates and that constant movement created vulnerabilities. Plans to install new cameras and plexiglass, as well as updated procedures, were set in motion. The pregnant guards of Baltimore City Jail. It's safe to say that Tavon White's time in the prison was pretty busy. He was an inmate at Baltimore City Jail and had ties to the infamous Black Gorilla family, a tough gang known both inside and outside prison walls. The scandal at Baltimore City Jail took a personal turn with the involvement of 4 female prison guards. Charging documents reveal that 2 guards at the prison have etched the inmate's name on their body. Owens had Tavon tattooed on her neck, and Stevenson had Tavon tattooed on her wrist. These women found themselves at the center of a storm that blurred the lines between duty and desire. Tavon White was no ordinary inmate. He had effectively turned the jail into his criminal headquarters, where he got everything that he wanted. The guards' roles in the smuggling operation were not passive. They were actually active participants, aiding in the movement of contraband that ranged from narcotics to mobile phones. They got hit with some heavy charges like racketeering, money laundering, and dealing drugs, and things got worse when kids were dragged into the mix, born into a world of corruption. It was definitely a tough spot to be in. Within the confines of the jail, White reigned as a supreme leader. He didn't just blend in, but was the mastermind, pulling the strings of a smuggling scheme that flipped the whole place upside down. With his cunning and strategic mind, White found all the loopholes in the system. He used his friends inside and outside the jail to build a secret business, sneaking in phones, weed, pills, and smokes for a tidy profit. White's ability to command respect and loyalty from those around him was evident, and his influence over the guards became a pivotal element of his control within the jail. The department's response was swift and unyielding. The 4 women at the heart of the scandal were suspended without pay, and steps were taken to terminate their employment, signaling a zero-tolerance stance on corruption. Love behind bars. Elisha R. Smith, a 31-year-old corrections officer at the Pendleton Correctional Facility, found herself at the center of a scandal. Her life took an unexpected turn when it was revealed that she had become pregnant by an inmate, Dontel Keys. Dontel Keys, a convicted felon serving a lengthy sentence for crimes including reckless homicide, criminal confinement, and kidnapping dating back to 1998, was assigned to Elisha, a corrections officer, as his caseworker. In her role, Smith was tasked with guiding and supporting inmates, helping them navigate the complexities of prison life and prepare for their eventual re-entry into society. It was during this time that Smith and Keys came into contact. Their professional interactions quickly evolved into a forbidden relationship, transgressing the strict boundaries set by the correctional facility. This relationship did not remain hidden for long. Investigators at the Pendleton Correctional Facility launched a thorough investigation after suspicions arose about the nature of their interactions. The investigation uncovered a disturbing pattern of continued communication between Smith and Keys, even after she left her position at the prison. The birth of their daughter on June 15, 2016, cast a long shadow over Smith's conduct during her employment, raising serious concerns about her professional integrity and the security of the facility. Armed with this damning evidence, prosecutors filed a probable cause affidavit in Madison County Circuit Court, formally accusing Smith of engaging in a sexual relationship with Keys, a clear violation of her professional duties. DNA tests conclusively confirmed Keys as the father of the child, further solidifying the case against her. On December 7th, Smith faced serious charges of official misconduct and sexual misconduct, leading to her immediate arrest and detention at the Madison County Jail on a $20,000 bond. A fake medical emergency. While there might have been no relation between the inmate Casey White and corrections officer Vicky White, the officer went above and beyond to help the prisoner escape, all of which was caught on camera. This escape played out like a carefully planned heist movie scene. On April 29, 2022, Vicky was captured driving the inmate away. From what we know, he pretended to take Casey to a fake mental health evaluation appointment at the Lauderdale County Detention Center, but there was no appointment. She drove him out of the facility using a patrol car, which they left in a nearby parking lot. Then, they switched to another car that Vicky had parked there the night before. The CCTV footage played a big role in the investigation, recording what happened before the escape. The footage shows Vicky White checking out of the Quality Inn hours before helping the capital murder suspect escape the Florence jail. In the video, Vicky, wearing her uniform, escorted Casey, who was in prison clothes and handcuffs, out of the facility. They seemed calm, giving no hint of the trouble that would follow. As the reality of the escape sank in, a manhunt of epic proportions was launched. Federal, state, and local authorities combed the nation, following leads and tips that poured in from across the country. The search for the fugitives was relentless, with the pair's faces plastered across news outlets and social media, making them some of America's most wanted. After the escape, a huge search began. Federal, state, and local cops searched everywhere, chasing up leads from all over the place. Before his famous jailbreak, Casey White was already in trouble with the law. He had a history of breaking the rules, and his crimes got worse over time. In 2015, White was implicated in a series of crimes, but it was the brutal murder of Connie Ridgway that brought him into the national spotlight. Charged with capital murder, he admitted to the murder and was sentenced to life imprisonment. At first, Casey was locked up in the William E. Donaldson Correctional Facility, where they keep Alabama's toughest criminals. However, he was transferred to the Lauderdale County Detention Center for reasons pertaining to his legal proceedings. This facility had a less secure environment, making it easy for both Casey and Vicky to get entangled in this scandalous scheme. Investigation revealed that there was much more to this escape. Turns out that Vicky White was set to retire the day she left with Casey. She also sold her 4-acre property for $95,550, which was significantly less than the property's assessed value of $235,600. But things didn't work out well for her. During the manhunt, Casey ended up crashing the car that he was driving. Seeing that she had no way out, Vicky ended up shooting herself in the head. It was also revealed that Vicky had been giving Casey special treatment, including extra food and privileges. Vicky's special treatment of Casey eventually led to a romantic relationship that may have begun in 2020. The daring escape of Danilo Cavalcante. On August 31, 2023, the seemingly mundane routine of Chester County Prison was shattered when convicted murderer Danilo Cavalcante staged a brazen escape captured in chilling surveillance footage. Surveillance cameras recorded the chilling moment when Danilo strolled into the exercise yard at the prison, seemingly unconcerned about the escape he was about to attempt. He is seen glancing around and then, in a move that defies belief, he jumps with the agility of a seasoned gymnast, using the prison walls as his launch pad. He scaled the razor wire with acrobatic grace and vanished onto the roof. The daring escape resulted in a 2-week manhunt, which kept Chester County residents on edge. Cavalcante, originally serving a life sentence for the brutal murder of his ex-girlfriend, managed to survive by stealing food, clothes, and a rifle from local homes. At one point, a homeowner caught him in their garage and fired several shots. Cavalcante managed to escape unharmed. That close call prompted authorities to intensify their search, using thermal imaging from planes and canine units on the ground to track him. By September 13th, the hunt finally ended in dramatic fashion. Cavalcante was found hiding in a wooded area, attempting to crawl away, but was brought down by Yoda, a police canine. The end of Cavalcante's escape saga brought a sigh of relief, but also a stark realization of the need for enhanced security. Apprehended without injury, he faced a harsher sentence and the loss of his appeal rights. Cavalcante's escape added 15 to 30 years to his life sentence. Days after his capture, Chester County Prison announced the installation of a metal roof over the area where he had scaled the 2 walls to make his escape. Several other security upgrades were implemented to ensure such a daring breakout could never happen again. The infamous El Chapo escape. On July 11, 2015, the world witnessed a bold act of defiance as Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, the notorious drug lord, orchestrated a daring escape from Mexico's Altiplano prison, a maximum security fortress. Surveillance footage captured the chilling moment. The seemingly mundane routine of Guzman pacing his cell abruptly shattered as he vanished into the shadows of the shower area, the prison's sole blind spot. This audacious escape sent shockwaves through Mexico and highlighted the glaring vulnerabilities within the country's prison system. Guards were left speechless when they discovered a small hole in the shower floor leading to a mile-long tunnel. This wasn't just any escape route. It was a masterpiece of engineering, complete with lighting, ventilation, and even a modified motorcycle on rails, all ready for a swift getaway. This elaborate escape, clearly the work of his accomplices, was a massive blow to the Mexican authorities. The humiliation was compounded by the fact that this wasn't El Chapo's first brush with freedom. In 2001, he had famously escaped from another prison, concealed within a laundry cart. This audacious escape launched him into a decade-long period of freedom, during which he further solidified his grip on the Sinaloa cartel and evaded countless capture attempts. Following his 2014 recapture, many believed El Chapo's reign of freedom had finally come to an end. However, they grossly underestimated his resourcefulness and determination. The 2015 escape triggered a massive manhunt, with Mexican authorities offering a substantial reward of $3.8 million for information leading to his recapture. On January 8, 2016, after a dramatic shootout in Los Mochis, Sinaloa, El Chapo was finally apprehended once more. This time, Mexican authorities were determined to prevent another escape. El Chapo was extradited to the United States in 2017 and subsequently sentenced to life imprisonment at ADX Florence, a supermax facility in Colorado widely considered the most secure prison in the United States. For a man whose legend was built on his ability to evade capture, his story now finds its conclusion within the impenetrable walls of ADX Florence, where escape is virtually impossible. The Houdini behind bars. The surveillance cameras at the Izberbash prison in Dagestan captured a scene that would soon become infamous. On June 18, 2016, inmate Rostam Shakarudinov, nicknamed the Snake Man, attempted the impossible, squeezing his body through the minuscule food hatch of his cell. The footage shows a tense struggle as he contorts himself, his waist momentarily stuck, before finally disappearing through the narrow opening. In the process, he loses his underwear, adding an almost comedic twist to the audacious escape. As if nothing had happened, Shakarudinov emerged from the hatch, calmly retrieving his clothes that were placed nearby. He then proceeded to casually stroll away from the scene of his escape, leaving prison officials stunned and onlookers comparing him to the shape-shifting villain Squeeze from the early X-Files episodes. The escape ignited a wave of speculation, with many dubbing him Houdini and questioning whether his past robberies involved similarly ingenious methods. Did he possess supernatural abilities? What other incredible feats could he pull off? The fate of Shakarudinov remains uncertain, but his escape undeniably exposed serious security flaws within the prison system, leaving officials scrambling to address the glaring crack he exploited. Inmates left to die. What began as a casual card game at the Southern Ohio Correctional Facility in Lucasville quickly descended into a scene of unimaginable horror. In June 2017, surveillance cameras captured the horrifying moment when an inmate, Craig Ranke, slipped out of his handcuffs, pulled out a homemade blade, and attacked 4 fellow prisoners who were shackled to the table, unable to defend themselves. This was over in minutes, raising serious questions about the safety and accountability inside that prison. According to a federal lawsuit filed by 2 of the injured men, Shamiki Pugh and Morris Lee, prison officers watched the attack from behind a locked door and even laughed as it unfolded. The lawsuit alleges that the officers failed to follow protocol, neglecting to strip search Ranke before placing him near other inmates. They stabbed Pugh at least 10 times, but he was ultimately saved by another inmate who broke free and tackled the assailant. Disturbingly, that inmate was pepper sprayed by the guards while Ranke wasn't. The officers also delayed providing first aid for over 10 minutes, leaving the victims bleeding on the floor. Ranke, already serving a life sentence for murder, was later sentenced to an additional 86 years for the attack. Meanwhile, Pugh and Lee continue to seek justice, accusing the prison of deliberate indifference and violations of their constitutional rights. Death row romance. The unlikely romance between Nancy Gonzalez, a symbol of law and order, and Ronell Wilson, a convicted murderer, began in the shadows. Their attraction defied logic, a forbidden connection blossoming between a woman sworn to uphold justice and a man condemned by it. Their initial meetings quickly evolved into a passionate affair that endured for months. This was a relationship that defied all reason. Yet, their emotional and physical attraction proved irresistible, leading to clandestine meetings pushing the boundaries of acceptable behavior. They believed they could keep their affair hidden, meeting in secret and communicating discreetly. However, in a place where trust and security were paramount, their actions were a flagrant violation. Inevitably, their betrayal was uncovered, sending shockwaves through the institution and shattering the illusion of order within the Metropolitan Detention Center. Wilson was originally involved with the Stapleton Crew, a gang involved in a wide range of illegal activities, from drug trafficking to violent acts, marking a turning point in his life. Initially drawn in by the allure of respect and power, he quickly became entangled in their criminal web. His ascent within the gang was swift, but ultimately paved the way for his inevitable downfall. The events of March 10, 2006, forever changed Wilson's life and left an indelible mark on the city. During an undercover gun-buy operation, Wilson and his associates turned on the detectives, tragically resulting in the murders of Rodney Andrews and James Nemerin. Wilson was swiftly apprehended, and the case against him was solidified by the weight of evidence, including eyewitness testimony and forensic analysis. The trial got a lot of attention from the public and the media. In 2007, Wilson was found guilty of 2 counts of capital murder, and the jury gave him the death penalty. This made him the first person in New York to get a federal death sentence since the federal death penalty came back in 1988. Chaos on the bus. What began as a routine prison transport on September 15, 2018, quickly descended into chaos aboard a Cook County jail bus. Among the handcuffed inmates on that fateful September day was Javante Surratt, a man with a history of trouble that would soon be on full display. As the bus descended into chaos, one thing became painfully clear. Surratt had overlooked a crucial detail: the presence of surveillance cameras. Javante Surratt's troubles began with a 2016 burglary charge, but his criminal activity quickly escalated. Released on bail, he embarked on a series of armed robberies, demonstrating a pattern of reckless disregard for the law. This pattern continued behind bars, where he quickly established a reputation for violence, accumulating at least 15 documented fights during his incarceration. In a sudden, terrifying turn of events, Surratt managed to break free from his restraints. Wielding the steel lock and chain as makeshift weapons, he unleashed a brutal attack on a fellow inmate, transforming the confined space of the bus into a scene of chaos. But this wasn't his last outburst. Over the years, he was involved in 4 more violent incidents, 2 of them on prison buses. And so, naturally, Surratt's continued erratic behavior raised serious questions about the risks of transporting such volatile individuals without additional safeguards, and whether authorities were taking lessons from these repeated failures. But one thing is for sure: cameras are always watching in prison, even in the cramped confines of a transport bus. And with that, it's a wrap on shocking incidents where inmates forgot there were cameras in prison. Do you think some inmates underestimate the power of surveillance within prison? How can prisons improve security measures to prevent such incidents? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section, and before you leave, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Criminal Corner so you don't miss the next ones.